Defenders of Kiev holding back enemy, Ukraine's general staff. The defenders of Kiev are holding back Russian troops and are attempting to break through Ukrainian defense lines from the northwest and the east. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine said this in a statement posted on Facebook, Ukrinform reports. The group of forces and means defending the city of Kiev is holding back the enemy, which is trying to break through our defense lines from the northwest and the east in order to take control of key roads and settlements, the General Staff said. Defensive battles continue in the areas of Topolsk, Kamianka and Suka-Kamianka. Ukrainian troops are effectively holding back the advance of the enemy towards the settlements of Huliapol and Zaporizhia. In the Avdiivka direction, Ukrainian troops are repelling the assault actions of the invaders in the area of the settlement of Verkhnyotorsk. In the Volyn and Seversky directions, the situation is under control and has not changed significantly. In the south, Ukrainian defense forces are focusing their main efforts on organizing the defense of Kryvyi Rih, Zaporizhia and Mykolaiv, keeping control of sections of the sea coast, as well as protecting critical infrastructure. In the Donetsk and Luhansk directions, Ukrainian joint forces repulsed 5 enemy attacks in the past 24 hours. Ukrainian soldiers destroyed 2 tanks, an infantry fighting vehicle and a vehicle. The enemy also suffered losses. The Ukrainian Air Force destroyed 4 aircraft, 1 helicopter, 2 UAVs of various types and 2 cruise missiles in the past day.
Big blow. List of Russian generals lost in Ukraine released. According to NATO, at least 7,000 soldiers were killed in the Ukraine invasion, and another bad news came from Kherson. Lieutenant General Yakov Ryazantsev became Putin's 8th and highest-ranking general lost in the invasion of Ukraine. Russian Lieutenant General Yakov Ryazantsev was killed in Kherson, which Russia seized in the first week of the occupation, but recently lost some control. Lieutenant General Yakov Ryazantsev, who said the war would be short-lived at the beginning of the invasion, became the highest-ranking Russian soldier killed in Ukraine. Ministry of Defense of Ukraine announced that Lieutenant General Ryazantsev, who was in command of the United Army, was killed in the attack on the south of Kherson. Ukrainian media wrote that the lieutenant general was killed at the Chornobaivka airbase. A week ago, the helicopters of the Russian invaders were destroyed in the air at the said airbase. According to the Guardian newspaper, Western officials say that Russian leader Vladimir Putin has lost 8 of his top generals since the beginning of the invasion. Here is the list published in The Guardian. Lieutenant General Yakov Ryazantsev, killed. Major General Andrei Mordvich, killed. Major General Oleg Mityov, killed. Major General Vitaly Gerasimov, killed. Major General Andrei Sukovetsky, killed. Major General Andrei Kolesnikov, killed. General Magomed Tushev, killed. General Vladislav Yershov, fired. It was estimated that there were about 20 major generals in the Russian occupation of Ukraine.
A commander of the 1st Guards Tank Army of the Western Military District was dismissed. Information that a commander of the 13th Tank Regiment, of the Kantemirovskaya Division, shot himself, came from the director of the Intelligence Department on the evening of March 27, Ground Forces of the Forces Armed Ukraine posted on Telegram. In addition, Lieutenant General Sergei Kysel, commander of the 1st Guards Tank Army of the Western Military District, which included the notorious elite Kantemirovskaya Division, was dismissed. This is a painful defeat for Russia. When losing 1 division and 2 generals at the same time, Russian forces are increasingly showing weakness before with Ukraine, when they constantly have to accept defeats attacks that only bring on their own damage. A Russian general was dismissed by Putin shortly after due to the great loss and failure of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Putin is said to be punishing his subordinates to vent his anger over his failures. We have seen many Russian soldiers alive and leaving after defeat. They ran away and did not return. Perhaps they were afraid of punishment from their superiors. And after that, the Russian leadership could not turn a blind eye to the poor management of the army, the armed forces of Ukraine added. The 200th Motorized Infantry Division of the Russian Federation has lost 648 servicemen after its defeat in yesterday's battle with Ukraine. Ukraine is continuously winning in the recent attacks and defenses. Putin's forces are proving extremely deadlocked before their failures. The Russian army is facing a defeat not far in the future.
Senior Russian commits suicide after most of the tanks became unusable. While the clashes between Russia and Ukraine continued on its 32nd day, the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine claimed that a Russian tank regiment commander who participated in the war in the country committed suicide. The 4th Panzer Division commander allegedly shot himself after hearing a radio message that only one of every 10 tanks in the warehouse was more or less operational. As it will be remembered, 7 Russian generals and the deputy commander of the Black Sea Navy have lost their lives since the beginning of the invasion. As Russia enters the first month of its invasion of Ukraine, new news emerges every day about the Russian commanders, who are alleged to be responsible for the invasion not going as expected. In the statement, it was claimed that the Russian forces had problems with neglected military vehicles and most of the tanks became unusable. Russia also allegedly built storage and repair facilities in the Bryansk region to repair equipment that was disabled on the battlefield, the ministry said via telegram. Currently, Russia is trying to put into operation a significant amount of equipment from long-term storage facilities, the statement said. Russian General Vladislav Yershov, who was declared dead in battle this week. Ministry of Defense gave the news.
Ukrainian forces shoot down another Russian Su-34. In the Izium direction, air defense units of the Ukrainian armed forces destroyed another Russian Su-34 fighter bomber. According to Ukrinform, the Army-informed news agency wrote this on Facebook. Fighting continues in the Izium direction. Today, air defense mobile units of the armed forces of Ukraine destroyed a Russian Su-34 fighter bomber in the Izium district. This is one of the newest aircraft of the enemy army, the report says. Meanwhile, next round of negotiations between Russia and Ukraine start Monday in Turkey. The next round of negotiations between Ukraine and Russia will be held live from March 28 to 30 in Turkey, Ukrainian negotiator David Arakamian said on Facebook. He did not specify where in Turkey the two delegations would meet as of Monday. Previous negotiations have yielded little result.
Ukraine armed forces managed to push the enemy positions in the Kharkiv area after liberating the town of Vilkivka. During the defensive fighting, the forces managed to capture another very important trophy, the TOS-1A thermobaric multiple launch rocket. The General Staff of Ukraine Armed Forces released a statement on Telegram. A Russian TZMT reloading vehicle was captured by the Ukrainian forces. This vehicle is a part of the TOS-1A thermobaric multiple launch rocket system and carries 24 spare thermobaric rockets. Note that this one is fully loaded, the statement said. A thermobaric rocket launchers, or the vacuum bomb, which Ukraine says the Russians have used in the invasion, ignites a fireball that sucks in all surrounding oxygen.
In the statements made today by the Ukrainian General Staff, it was announced that the Ukrainian army recaptured several villages from the Russian troops in a series of counterattacks. We have entered the 33rd day of the war and the ground operation of the Russian army has almost completely stopped. The Ukrainian armed forces counter-attacked. A Russian Mi-8 helicopter making an emergency landing was shot down in a video posted on social media today. The reason for the landing was not disclosed. The area where the helicopter was hit is allegedly Gostomel, near Kiev. However, no confirmation was made regarding this information. As can be seen from the images, it is seen that the helicopter, which made an emergency landing, was destroyed by the MANPADS missile. At the same time, Kharkiv's regional manager said that some villages around Malaya Rogan were retaken by the Ukrainian armed forces. He shared a video showing that Vikivka, one of the settlements, is also in the hands of the Ukrainian armed forces. This information was confirmed by the international media. The success of the Ukrainian armed forces in and around Kharkiv was also reflected in the city of Sumy, where a number of settlements were liberated further north. According to the Zaporizhzhia Regional Military Administration, 2 villages in the northwest of the besieged Mariupol were reported to have been liberated from the Russian army. The bombardments of Kyiv and Lviv continue. Russia launched an airstrike on an area very close to the European border today.
U.S. destroyer with 96 cruise missiles deployed 45 kilometers from Russian borders. A few hours ago, the U.S. missile destroyer USS Forrest Sherman was deployed in the Baltic Sea, carrying 96 Tomahawk cruise missiles. At the moment, the American warship is in the port of Gdansk. The American destroyer USS Forrest Sherman, among other things, with a rocket launcher and guns of various calibers, moored in the port of Gdansk. As the crew members explained, the purpose of the visit is to celebrate the American presence in the region, and at the same time they want to learn more about our culture and history. The unit will remain in Poland until the end of March. We arrived at the port of Gdansk on a routine visit. Our goal is to mark the American presence in the Baltic Sea and reassure our NATO allies that we are able to quickly respond to any possible aggression in the region, said Commander Matt Zublik of the U.S. Navy. At the moment, it remains unknown whether the ships of the Baltic Fleet of the Russian Navy are busy tracking the movement and actions of the American missile destroyer, since no official statements in this regard from Russia have yet been made.